I'm live. Actually, it's not just that I'm live. We are live. And the camera is kind of wonky, isn't it? Hang on a second. There we go. There we are. Here we go. We can see my little Viking axe and my shoes and my on-air sign and my other shoes and everything. We can see my butter yellow room. All right, here we are. So it's 2023. How you doing? The reason I wanted to come in today and talk about emotion and energy is because of this crazy thing that happened to me yesterday. Now, I've just come from Facebook where they tried to shut me down 3 times. Everybody's a critic. And I was talking about this serendipitous set of things that happened because, when I was in my early 20s, I was living in Florida, going to Miami-Dade Junior College. And when I decided that I needed to I needed to finish my education in Canada because of the way the school systems were set up. And I planned to come back and, get an apartment and set myself up. I went shopping specifically for a certain kind of set of dishes. I bought sunshine yellow plates and turquoise Caribbean blue cups and saucers and napkins. And I did that for a very specific reason. I was raised in Canada. I was raised on the West Coast, and then I was raised in the middle, and then I was raised on the East Coast. And there is nothing more unrelentingly depressing than January. Because it is a time of year when the sky is exactly the same color as the pavement, if you can see the pavement. Because sometimes it's covered in snow. And if the plows have been by, the snow is no longer pristine and white and lovely and magical. It's got gravel in it and dirt and smutch from the cars. So it is a hard sell to ourselves to say, hey, let's go to this gray day. Yay. It's very hard to do. And a number of my friends legitimately suffer from this condition called seasonal affective disorder, in which there's not enough yellow in the sky. There's not enough vitamin D going on. And depression and angst and negativity and exhaustion sneaks up on you. It is something we really, even when we're looking for it, even when there's a history of it in the family, even when there's a history of it in our lives, it can still sneak up on us because emotions live in our subconscious. We're not aware of them. Even when we say to ourselves, oh, look, it's that time of the month. I may be a little depressed or anxious or sad today. Good morning, on a bit early. I know, right? I'm keen, Charles. So what I'm talking about is sadness today. I'm talking about this time of year. I'm talking about the color of the sky up in Canada, which is sort of bleak. It's a shade of bleak. It's not a dramatic shade of bleak. It's an unrelenting shade of bleak, and it matches the pavement, and it matches gray cars, and it matches a lot of the clothes that we seem to choose to wear in the winter. I don't know why people do that. So here's what happened to me yesterday, and I talked about it on Facebook, and that's not going to be the sole part of this. I'm not just regurgitating. Go and sit down, Mom. I was at the grocery store yesterday and, to restock up after the weekend and the holidays. And I was blessed with a cashier and a guy bagging groceries who were in a great mood. And they were chatting and laughing with each other, and they were chatting and laughing with me. And right away, it brings you up a little bit. And cashier said, so how are you doing? And I said, I'm working on a high 7 here. And she said, what's a high 7? And I said, well, out of 10, and it's getting higher. And, as I said this a few minutes ago on Facebook, I just thought of this. To me, a good day is a high 8. A better day is a high 9. And as I think about that, it puts a whole new slant on people who keep giving each other high fives, doesn't it? I mean, if you took a test, right, and 50 is a squeak eek pass, well then a high five, it's not even a C. A high five, like it's not even 60. People go around and say high five, and you think, slacker. I want to say high nine to be see what happens. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry. So I came out of the grocery store, and there's a gray car parked on the gray pavement under the gray sky, and there's a dun-colored female of the species in the car, and she's just sitting there, and I'm coming by with my groceries, and I'm looking around me, and it's funny how fast it fades. I mean, I had a great conversation with those people in the store. You come out and you're hit with this wall of, and it's hard, and all of a sudden, no warning at all, in the gray car, her sound system came on, her playlist came on. And it came on at full volume. Like 1 minute, there she was, gray. And the next minute, she's playing Funky Town at full volume. And by the way, the bass was awesome. And I've stopped because there it is. Da 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 da. And I stopped. And to my everlasting astonishment, she started bobbing in her seat, singing with it. I could tell she was singing with it. I could hear her through her closed windows. She's belting it out. The music's belting out. And she's doing this and she's doing this. And she turns and she sees me, and I couldn't help it. I'm dancing. I'm not singing. There are limits. I'm dancing. And she's doing this and I'm doing this. And I'm wishing I had this that I could do the thumbs up. And it's like a 3-minute song. And the two of us are there looking like lunatics, I am sure, to people driving by with their windows closed, right? Must have looked insane. And frankly, Scarlett, I don't care. It was the most fun out of nowhere. And then the music stopped. And she turned to me and she gave me these 2 thumbs up, and I gave her 2 thumbs up, and I kept walking. And I got to my car, and she started another song, and I don't remember what it was because I was still riveted on this. And as I opened the trunk, cart guy comes by and he says, I'll take your cart if you like. I said, awesome. So I put the bags in, get in the cart. So I didn't even have to walk the cart back. And I get in the car and I'm driving away. And I thought, there, how easy was that? How easy was it for her to say, okay, I'm done with whatever this is. And she put on her coat and her boots, and she got in the car, and she drove to the parking lot at the grocery store, and she sat there, and she turned on the loudest, most upbeat, funky song she had on her playlist, and spent 3 minutes having the best life you could have under the circumstances. And it had a ripple effect. It had a chain reaction on me. Music is a non-prescription mood stabilizer. You know what? You're absolutely right. It's utterly brilliant and free. I mean, granted, she needed to own a car, but the whole point was that I got in the car and I said, there. That's how easy it is. That is how easy it is. There was a post yesterday that I shared. 7 things you need to stop doing. And it was a bunch of negative self-talk. And a real good friend of mine, Lucia Harper, posted it. And I said, I'm going to share this to discuss it. And the thing I said that people kind of missed, I think, was in my little quote across the top. I said, this is a stalling tactic. These comments are stalling tactics, pure and simple. What they come across as is all kinds of, well, maybe she was traumatized, or maybe he was this, or maybe he was that. Okay, blah, 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 blah. But you're overthinking it. You're overthinking. We overthink. And the reason we overthink is a stalling tactic. Why? Because the subconscious doesn't want us to change. Subconscious brain is primitive. It's a cave brain. It taught us, it fueled us to have very primitive responses: fight, flight, freeze, hide, comply. Why? Survival mechanisms. It was a scary time back then when we lived in caves. Everything outside the cave was looking at us as lunch. So, how do we stay alive? We stay alive by not making any sudden moves. We stay alive by complying. We stay alive by being small. When we go outside, we stay alive by looking big, pretending to be big, the way the animals do. Very primitive. No conscious thought going on. So, the thing I wanted to share today is, this is very surface level stuff, except that there's a lot going on underneath it. We are not aware of how strongly our emotions shift everything. We're not aware because thinking is not feeling. Thinking is linear. Thinking is logical. Thinking is strategic. Fear, hunger, depression, sadness, lust, excitement. These things are under the radar. All we know is when they have happened, everything we're thinking changes. When our emotions shift, everything we're thinking changes. That's right, emotions will make a person shift all over. Exactly, Charles. So when I was interviewing all these incredible people for the Pivotry book collection, I was asking them what changed, what happened so that what was not that bad suddenly was not good enough. Something deep, profound, below the radar shifted. And it shifts in an instant. It takes no time for this emotion to shift. It's fueled by adrenaline. Adrenaline has incredible power. We've seen stories of terrified parents who have lifted cars off their children. We've seen people beat up somebody bigger than them to save someone. That's pure adrenaline. That isn't suddenly I'm stronger. You're not suddenly the Hulk. What has happened is your emotions have overtaken you and you have superhuman strength. Well, if your emotions can do that, your emotions can also override sadness. Your emotions can override blah and bleak and ho-hum. They can do it if we give them permission. If our subconscious is taught that small incremental changes are actually okay. So this is all part of this Pivotry in Motion conversation that I'm having, these books that are starting to look really incredible, really amazing. And for today, because this is, my first time back after New Year's Eve, this is the beginning of 2023. And I wanted to launch in this week with a suggestion, with an idea. I want you to pay attention. I want you to do one thing for all of us, because we're a tribe, thee and me here, us doing these videos, me on this end yapping away and you on that end laughing and rolling your eyes and writing notes. We are a tribe. We're in this together. I want you to start noticing when your emotions shift. I want you to tell me, to tell us what you think the trigger was. Because I got to tell you, when I walked out of that grocery store, I was already ready to be in a good place. That cashier and the bag guy, not the bad guy, the bag guy, had already set me down that different path. I'm always ready to feel better. I'm always ready to have more fun than I was having because I'm wired that way. So when I walked outside, I was primed and ready for that woman to play that song in that car on that day in that moment. I was right there and willing as a participant. And the two of us shared that moment. We never spoke. I have no idea who she is. She has no idea who I am. And you know what I really hope? I hope she's there again. I hope she's there another time. I'm going to look forward to it because I'm going to be all in the minute I see her car, before she even starts playing. Why? Anticipation. Why? Because now I have a habit forming. And if I can repeat this small, simple habit every chance I get, I can own it the way we can all own it. And we can lean into 2023 no matter what's happening. So the image I posted as the thumbnail for today's video is my Abbey boat. And I like to think of, every time I see that boat, it makes me smile. And when you see it, it should make you smile. There is something that happens if you're near the coast. On a day when the wind shifts direction, you can feel a different energy. You can feel and hear and smell different things more acutely, more clearly. You can get that slightly restless feeling that it's time. It's time. You may not know what it's time for, but all of a sudden things elevate. All of a sudden we're a little impatient. All of a sudden we're ready in a way that we weren't ready a few minutes before. We don't have to wait for these things to happen. We can take ownership of them happening. And what I think we want to do for each other, with each other, is be there. Simply that, be there. Be cheerleaders for each other. If sadness can sneak up on us, if boredom can sneak up on us and we find ourselves eating out of boredom, and then we're depressed because we put weight on because we ate out of boredom, if we notice that the sky is gray, then we need to put on something. Here in South Mississippi, the clouds in the evening are so glorious and beautiful during sundown. It makes you feel so good inside. You know, Charles, yes, I get that. I get that sensation. There is something extraordinary about the sky in the South, on the water. You're absolutely right. It must also be a shock to the system if you wake up and it's uncharacteristically cold. I know that when I lived in Florida, it shocked the living daylights out of me if I woke up and it was chilly and I needed to put on 3 sweaters and turn off the air conditioning. And it was like an assault. It was a how dare you. So we have these things that undermine our best intentions. When we feel pain, when we feel surprised, when somebody is unkind or cruel or thoughtless, when something scares us. These are all triggers for very primitive emotions. And this is the other part of today's YouTube video, this life hack. I have taken many pictures of beautiful sunrises on the way to work. Yes, good plan. So this is the thing I want to talk to you about. There is a little hack we can do that can alert us. Okay? And okay, it's 3 words. 3 words. If we're not feeling 100%, if we're not at a high 7 or a high 9, as opposed to a high 5, which is a barely passing grade, if we're not there and we suddenly become aware that we're not there, here are the 3 words. Is this me? Is this me? Second 3 words. Have I been triggered? If you're not the real you, If you sense that you're out of step with yourself, if you suddenly realize you have just sighed for the 7th time in 2 minutes, stop. Maybe don't stop suddenly if there's somebody right behind you. They find themselves walking up the back of you. But stop. Look over your shoulder. Stop. Is this me? Have I been triggered? Don't overthink it. Don't delve down that rabbit hole. Don't talk about all the things that are wrong and how you could this and why you could that. It's just simple. Is this me? Have I been triggered? And if the answer is yes, then it's a deep breath. I'm safe. We got this. And get me back. Get your inner Viking back. Get your inner child back. Get your funky town back. Because you deserve it. Because we all deserve it. And if we start this year with that intention, if this is not me, if all I'm doing is a high 5 when I deserve at least a high 9, what triggered me? Because we deserve more. We are more. Life is better than a 5. Life should be a high 9. And we own the ability to be there. It takes work until we're used to it. So the overthinking, the seven things, talking to yourself, doing this, using negative self-talk, whatever the 7 were, doesn't matter. If it's negative, it's a stalling tactic. Subconscious brain wants you to stay stuck. Why? Because subconscious brain doesn't like surprises. It knows how to do the simple stuff. If you're stuck, the subconscious brain knows what to do. It doesn't have to worry about you. Yeah, except that we deserve more because we are more. So choose your own personal funky town, whatever it may be. Choose your moment and your colors and your reactions to the bleaks. And the reason? Because you're worth it. And all the people you bump into, all those ripple effects, everyone deserves to feel they got this. They're safe. We all do. So that's my first happy life hack for 2023. I hope you give it a shot. I hope you let me know what the hooks are that you use, what your song is, what your mood is, what your color is, what your flavor is, what the smell is, whatever it is that is your hook. Tell it to me. Share it. We can all use new tools. Okay? And I will be back live in color on Thursday. So between now and then, tell your friends that you've got a hack for the bleaks at this time of year, and you're going to try it and let them know how it works. All right? And then be good to you. You deserve it. And hug your loved ones. Mwah. See you soon.